Dusty Baker, talked about him yesterday. Great win for him. Last night, 15 games in the association. Monday Night Football, a lot to get to. Let's start with the Monday night game. Baltimore absolutely handled New Orleans last night, Rich. I mean, it wasn't even close. This was a dominant performance. And, we talked about it yesterday. I sort of expected this not to be a close game. I really thought Baltimore, there are certain midseason trades in every sport that you just look at and you think, oh man, that's the answer. And them acquiring Roquan Smith, to me, was one of those trades. I mean, he is just the answer. I mean, he just fits that team like a glove. Need, skill, culture, scheme, heritage. I mean, obviously, this is the team of Ray Lewis, of course. Not that Roquan Smith is Ray Lewis, but like he plays the same position and is one of the best, if not the best, at that position in the game right now. I mean, I saw that and I was like, oh man, bad news for the other AFC teams. Baltimore just got a whole lot better in the hurry. Oh, none. I mean, and New Orleans, for their part, wasn't very strong last night. You know, all right. I think we have to reconnect with Rich here. I think that was my fault. I think he was actually connected to our Bluetooth versus into our board. So we're gonna go ahead and try that real quick. All right, there we go. You there, Rich? Nope. All right. Not. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to try to get Rich back. Let's take a break. We'll come right back. The Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave.
How is that?
All right, there we go. Nope, I lied. It's still not coming through properly. I guess we'll put you on Bluetooth again. I don't know. There we go. Now that's working. I don't know why this is giving us a hard time today.
But is that better on this end?
Well, it's not your end. It's something on our end, but we got you on the air now. But
okay.
Not the way I wanted. All right. So, I mean, getting back to Baltimore for a second, I think right now in the AFC, it's a very crowded top of the conference. I mean, with Kansas City and Buffalo. Buffalo, of course, lost to the Jets this week. Takes a little shine off the coin. Bigger concern, of course, is Josh Allen with the elbow.
And we're not going to know anything until or the earliest later today, I was told.
Right. So that's concerning for sure. So I don't know what the deal is as it relates to that. I really don't. But I can tell you right now that Baltimore is a team that I would be leery of going into the playoffs right now. I mean, they were absolutely awesome. They were awesome. I mean, now New Orleans isn't this great team, but most of the NFL isn't a great team. I mean, you have like 6 teams or so that you would consider are really, really good, and then kind of everyone else. Then there's a handful that are really terrible, and then there's everyone in the middle. Like if you want to say there's 12 teams total that are either really good or really bad, and then there's 20 teams that are somewhere in between, right? Like, I mean, we just watched Green Bay lose to Detroit. Maybe they're both in the same class now. I think Green Bay and Detroit. Maybe they're both horrible. Are the Rams in that class? Probably not. Probably just outside of it. They're the bottom end of the middle class. They're the working poor, as you would say, socioeconomically, right?
They have to do a lot to prove it.
Right. They do. But
if you look historically, though, I think Buffalo's had it better defending Jackson than Kansas City has. But taking the other side of that coin, Buffalo is trending in the wrong direction.
Yes, they are.
I know I sent you something today. And those numbers are concerning.
Yeah. No, they are. I mean, look, historically speaking, when you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run, that's like the ultimate recipe for losing football, no matter how good your passing game is. I mean, we watched this. I mean, think about the mid-2000s, early 2000s Patriots. I mean, they were the ultimate juggernaut offensively. Tom Brady, Randy Moss, and nothing else mattered. What else mattered? I mean, Brady set the touchdown record. It was since eclipsed by Manning for single season. Then and Randy Moss set the receiving touchdown record, which I believe still stands, unless Kupp got it last year. I know Kupp broke some records last year. I think maybe just receiving yards in the season and receptions. I don't think he got the touchdown record. But either case,
I don't think he did.
No, he didn't. So that still stands. But like, they did. Who was their running back? That's like a trivia question. I don't know. You have to look that up. It was running back by committee, and then their defense was pretty good. But the Giants ran it down their throat and stuffed their passing game by way of a pass rush, and they beat them in 1 and 2 Super Bowls. So,
that sounds kind of like what the Jets did to Buffalo on Sunday.
Doesn't it sound similar? We've seen this movie before. What do they say? There's nothing new under the sun, right? Like, yeah, you're right. There's reason to be concerned if you're Buffalo right now.
A lot of reasons.
Their lack of a running game is scary.
The passing game scares me even more. Allen's gone back to playing hero ball. Every play doesn't have to be a 50-yard play. Now, is that all on Allen? Or is that he hasn't built the trust yet with these receivers? There's one big piece missing to that team. And I had a discussion with a couple of different people on social yesterday about this. He misses Cole Beasley.
I agree.
No one wants to agree with that. But who does he have now that he trusts to throw to on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, knowing he'll get 9-10 yards?
No,
he's missing that piece.
No, that's the thing about Buffalo. I think you're absolutely onto something, Rich, because I mean, you look past Josh Allen, which is hard to do because he's so spectacular most of the time, and Stephon Diggs. The rest of that offensive unit, there's not a lot of name brand power on the rest of that unit. There's some good guys. Gabe Davis is solid. There's some other guys.
Gabe Davis is a hell of a receiver.
Yeah.
He really is. And he's leading the league in yards per catch. But 38 targets, 18 receptions? There's an issue there. They have to expand his route tree some. Every throw can't be a deep throw.
Yeah, that's all he is, unless he's just going to play that Alvin Harper role of just. But that's where you need a guy like Beasley, because if you had
Davis can do more.
No, I know he can, but I'm saying if you had a guy like Beasley, you could get away with using Davis in that Alvin Harper deep threat role almost exclusively, because you'd have to cover the underneath and the intermediate route with Beasley. And of course, Diggs is your all-purpose, all-pro receiver. And And but yeah, no, I mean, look right now, I have to give we haven't talked about them a ton this year. They got off to kind of a sluggish start, but I have to give Kansas City a lot of credit. They've won some gutsy games where they haven't played their best and they've managed to pull out wins in the end. I mean, this week against Tennessee was a perfect example. We said this game was going to be close, and it was. Tennessee had chances to win this game. Neither one of us were able to go as far as to predict Tennessee to win, which worked out because Kansas City won in overtime. But we both were saying, like, this game, and I also said on my Sunday show with Richie, the final line, I said, this is one of my strongest bets of the day is the Chiefs not to cover, the Titans to cover. They were going off at like 12.5. I was like, there's no way this is going to be that big of a blowout. And I also said there's no way it's going to hit the over, which was like 47 or 48. I said there's no way. If one is true, then the other won't be true. Like if the Titans are in this game, it's not going to be 48.
Right.
And that's exactly how it played out. That was one of the games I got pretty well right, and you did as well. I mean, this Tennessee team is solid. I mean, but Kansas City, the reason I bring that game up is to give Kansas City its flowers. Right now, I think it's fair to say they're the best team in the AFC. They have the health, and they've won some games that they did not play. They played nowhere near their A game. They played like their D game, and they still managed to win. Mahomes has had a couple of late rallies. I mean, this team has impressed me with their intestinal fortitude and gutsiness at times this year.
Me too. That's fine. They're winning ugly. You have to do that sometimes.
Absolutely. No, you have to be able to do that. That's absolutely imperative. The Eagles, Dylan's team, I mean, they're obviously the best team by record in football, and they're a really, really good squad. The thing I want to see the Eagles against Kansas City. I would love to see that matchup. I know we're not going to get that on the schedule, but I think that would be a fun game. That would be, I guess it could be a Super Bowl. That would be the only chance we get with that. But yeah, I mean, let's not overreact. Let's not panic with the Bills, but they need to course correct. They need to make some adjustments. They need to find, and the truth is, with a player like Diggs and a deep threat like Davis and a quarterback like Allen, you should be able to manufacture a Wes Welker or Cole Beasley type. Like they don't have to be like the elite
They have
guys.
the guy to do it. They have the guy to do it. Isaiah McKenzie can do it, but they got to use him more than 10 snaps a game.
There you go. So that's okay. So I was going to say, I don't know their roster as well as you do, but like I figured there has to be a guy who can make those intermediate plays, play in that slot, and they just have to course correct by choosing to use someone more. Yeah, so it's...
And you wouldn't know it if you watched the last two games, but hey, Dawson Knox is on that team. He had a great year last year as a tight end, and they paid him. Well, let's get him the ball.
Yeah, let's make him earn his money, right?
Every play doesn't have to be a home run. You got guys who can separate. No. But you have to be able to take the shorter throws. And that's the biggest difference between Allen last year and this year. And that's why his interception totals are high. And that worries me.
Yeah, he's always
more than the running game.
He's always been a bit predisposed to the desire for hero ball. That's always been something Allen has kind of had in his DNA a little bit.
Yeah.
And, it works at times, but, on balance, it's less effective than not. I mean, sometimes you need those plays.
And again, I'll stick to the Beasley piece of it. They miss him more than they want to let on.
Mm-hmm.
I know people in Buffalo don't want him because of last year. It's like, let last year go.
He dared to think for himself. He broke the cardinal sin. Terrible.
It's absurd. I can't stand him as a person. Oh, what about him as a football player?
Yeah, right. He retired instead of dealing with that nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of McDermott as a coach. I think he'll figure this out. I have confidence in him. But he is in a position where he needs to flex his coaching muscles here a little bit schematically and add some things, because the Bills are becoming a bit on the predictable side right now offensively.
And they didn't have that with Dable.
Right. Well, Dable was running the offense, of course.
Right.
And now he's Giants head coach. But
Right.
But yeah, I think that the Bills coaching staff needs to flex their schematic muscles a little bit and add some wrinkles here on the fly. And they just had their bye, right? They just had it 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway. All right, well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do the radio question of the day. We got a lot of NBA to get to today. We'll maybe open the door a little bit, take a peek behind the window of baseball free agency today, just see kind of who's out there, and we'll continue on from there. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, we're back. And it's time for the radio question of the day. You ready, Rich?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Let's see what we got.
Native athletes make up less than 1% of NCAA participants. I am KO. Back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
You've been working hard, doing the right thing and paying your taxes and putting your hard-earned money in the Medicare piggy bank all your life. And now it's time to break the piggy bank and get something back. Medicare. If you didn't know it, Medicare is health insurance for people over 65, and you paid for it with your tax dollars. Medicare plans now have more benefits than ever. That's good news, especially if you're like me and looking forward to paying as little as possible for good health insurance. Call and find out what Medicare plan is best for you. Save your time. It's valuable. We've already done the research for you. And in one quick phone call, you can learn how to get the best Medicare plan designed exactly for you. Hey, it's one of the most important decisions in your life. Let us help you through it. Call 65 Plus Medicare now at 855-301-5506, 855-301-5506, 855-301-5506. That's 855-301-5506.
Collegiate track athlete Rosalie Fish is being featured in a new campaign to promote diversity. The Who is a Runner initiative highlights a diverse array of athletes and tells meaningful stories about the barriers they face in sport. In an op-ed for Well and Good, Fish addressed the need for more Native collegiate representation. She said, "My being here isn't just about me or my individual community. It's about helping Native youth see themselves represented in college sports." Question: do you think public service initiatives will or will not increase American Indians' participation in college sports?
They'll increase division. They'll increase race baiting. They'll increase mistrust between groups of people. They'll increase disdain and hatred. That's what public initiatives always do. They never really solve the problem because there never really is a problem. Look, there's such a thing as natural selection. And I don't mean this in the Darwinian way here of survival of the fittest, although that I subscribe to as well. But I'm talking about groups of people culturally make their own decisions on what to gravitate to. I've been saying this for years and years in baseball. Dusty Baker, touched this one early in the World Series about lack of a black player in the World Series. Well, you know what? Black players, black athletes are not choosing baseball. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Like, just like not a lot of black athletes choose golf and not a lot of white athletes choose basketball. Like, just what it is. And I'm tired of trying to, why do we have to have some type of like fake, ill-conceived notion of everyone of every type has to be pretty well equal in everything? That's not how we are. Groups of people are different. Cultural interests and norms and mores are different. What you grow up around is different, and that's okay. I am so tired of the social engineering bullcrap trying to put square pegs in round holes. It's not even that, really. It's more nuanced than that. Certain cultures just don't gravitate to certain activities as much as other cultures do. And it works in every direction. Like, leave it alone. And by the way, there's also something to be said for population density with these type of things as it relates to any group of people. They're talking about natives. Well, what percentage of the population do they make up overall? It's probably less than 1% also, or maybe it's exactly 1%. It's around there. So what do you expect them to make up? 20%, 10%, 5% of the student athlete population when they make up 1% or less of the overall population? Isn't that overrepresentation? Like, stop with this nonsense. If anyone looks at TV and sees, someone that doesn't look like them and thinks to themselves, "Oh, I can't play because I don't look like that person," that person needs a checkup from the neck up, and they need to be taught reality. That's not how the world works. It's not how it's supposed to work. People don't have to look like you for you to partake in an activity. You think I was a frequent comparison on a basketball court? You think there were a lot of guys with glasses, 5'10", that looked like they were college professors on a basketball court? Do you think I ever cared? Hell, I didn't even notice. I remember one time I was down in Virginia, living there, and I played at this city court all the time, and it was all pretty much black guys and Spanish, mostly black guys. It wasn't even Spanish guys. It was mostly black guys, and I didn't even know that. Like, my friend Phil comes one day, he's like, "You're the only white guy here." It's like, "What do you mean?" And then for the first time, I've been playing there for months, I looked around, I was like, "Oh, I guess I am." Oh, well. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind. And that's the way this is supposed to be. Let's stop with this garbage. I'm sick of it.
I don't think I have anything to add.
Yeah, that was my rant for today. It was a delayed rant.
You said it quite well.
It's
we seem to have forgotten about Jim Thorpe. In the 70s, there was a great quarterback at the University of Washington named Sonny Sixkiller.
That's a great name.
Great quarterback name, who was native and was outstanding. The bigger picture is not how many natives are playing these games. The biggest picture should be, or was at that time, why did no NFL team take a look at him?
At Jim Thorpe.
At Sonny Six Killer.
Oh, Sonny Six Killer.
Now, 10 years later, the same thing happened with Warren Moon.
Right.
They both made their bones in the CFL. Six Killer stayed and had a Hall of Fame career up there. Moon eventually went to the NFL, but if a kid 10 years old, say at that time, is watching Six Killer play and not get an NFL look, maybe he just says, "Oh, the hell with it. I'll go play lacrosse."
Right. Well, and you know,
and why is the argument not there are too many native players in lacrosse?
Right. Right.
I don't like these arguments.
No.
The best players play.
And you know, ultimately too, if you see opportunity somewhere, it's not a sin for you to go take it, and it's not a societal failure that you saw opportunity here but not here. That's not necessarily a failure of society. You know, it's just not. Like, we have to stop drawing this, because ultimately what all these things boil down to is a unspoken but known false equivalence being made between things that were overtly segregationist, such as Jim Crow laws, and natural selection of cultural interests that we see now. Like, and they're not the same thing. One were laws on the books where people were forcibly and explicitly told, no, because you are black or because you are this. That's a whole lot different than there's only 2% or whatever it is of black participation in baseball. Well, why is that? It's not because baseball is telling them no. They're quite the opposite. They're spending millions of dollars every year trying to get them to play. It's because the group of people is saying that's not what we want to do. It's totally different. That's freedom of free will. That's freedom of movement. And like, that's just normal. And like, just leave it alone. Like, we know the window's there. You can go play baseball if you want to, or lacrosse or hockey or any other sport. Now, I understand that there are limits sometimes to access of participation based on economics of an individual family, but that has nothing to do with race either. There's poor white people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing that's falsified. So the whole thing is dumb.
Oh, it is. Now, if the shoe were on the other foot and they weren't allowing them to play, I would have an issue with it.
Well, of course.
As would you, I'm sure.
Of course. Well, that's what I just said. That's what Jim
Any
Crow was all
reasonable
about.
person would.
Right. If you're being told, no, you can't play because you're this race or that race. And that's why I have such an issue with all these race-based like organizations. Like I remember in college, we had a black student union. Well, we have a student union, so what's the black student union for? Oh, it's to represent the interests of minorities. Oh, because the student union doesn't represent the interests of all students? Like, that is blatantly like segregist. It is. I mean, by its definition, they'll say, well, everyone's welcome. No, they're not. You have to say that. But like, if everyone was welcome, it would be called the student union, which is all right in the suite next to you. Like, so it's stuff like that we just need to get rid of in society. There should be no black entertainment network. There would be a conniption if there was a white entertainment network. Rightly so. Like, why should we have things that are designed specifically for one race or another? No, we're all humans. You certainly create content around the cultural interests, like what we're talking about with the selection of sports. Certainly create content around the social interest. That's just good programming from a broadcaster's perspective. You absolutely do that. But like, putting out names that are explicitly geared toward one race and then out the other side of your mouth talking about inclusion, it's a bunch of garbage. It's just wrong. It's inaccurate, and it's anyone with a balanced view of the world, with a non-racially motivated view of the world, will see through that in a second, because that's exactly what it is. It's trash. And
these are all things designed to separate.
That's
us.
exactly right. 100%.
And it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be that way.
We have to fight through and look past that.
Right. We have
And
to
just say everyone is welcome.
Right.
But the best
get the jobs.
will achieve.
Right.
They will get.
Right. That's it. I mean, especially in sports, I mean, that it has to be that way. I mean, the whole appeal of professional sports has always been people that watch in awe because they can't do those things.
Right.
That's the whole charm of the attraction. It like there's a reason you don't go to the YMCA and watch the men's league. Because, well, yeah, okay, whatever, I can do that. Or something close to it. You know?
Yeah.
But, you know, you watch, Luka Doncic hit like a 35-footer over 2'6'9" guys, like with his left hand off 1 foot. And you're like, yeah, I can't do that.
Right.
You know?
Some cases, most people can't even try to do that.
Right. Like, I couldn't do that by myself in the gym. I'd fall down. It's like, that's why you watch those guys. So there you go. All right. Well, that was a good one. Got me a little fired up more than the coffee did this morning. I hate that stuff though, man. I really do. I mean,
You hate coffee?
No. I love coffee.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Oh no.
Am I talking to the same person?
Yeah, no. Coffee is my friend. No, I was talking about
right.
this whole nonsense with this with this whole separation by people's race and stuff. I just hate it. It's just straight ignorance and stupidity. It makes no sense to me. It never has.
Why don't we just say everybody is allowed to try?
Right.
The best will play.
That's right.
However it falls, it falls.
Right. If we have 20 guys try out for a basketball team and we're taking 12 and the 12 best are 12 black guys, we're taking the 12 black guys. There's no white guy getting in because, well, we need to have some diversity. No. And conversely, if the opposite were true somehow, which based on the demographics of basketball probably wouldn't happen, but if it did, we should be able to say, oh, sorry, we're taking the 12 white guys. And that should not be looked at as anything other than the selection of the best. And until we get to that point as a society, we're going to continue to have these discussions and these problems.
Right.
But it really is just that simple. And
more Hispanics play baseball.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's huge, especially in the Dominican Republic. It's like a religion.
Yes. And I'm fine with that.
Of course. Who cares? I don't care what color these guys are. Like, now, the one thing I will always say is I do think when you get to the elite level and you are like potentially a public face of a league, it is helpful if that person speaks relatively fluent English. I do think that helps from a marketing and branding point to a degree, but that has nothing to do with race necessarily. That's just language skills. And, of course, it's understandable why, say, Ohtani, for example, would be less fluent in English than someone else because he didn't grow up here. He didn't grow up speaking language. And so I understand it perfectly well.
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Right, exactly. But
do you think I wouldn't sign him because he doesn't speak a lot of English?
Oh, of course not.
No.
But it does put you at a slight disadvantage if you're trying to put that person out front in terms of public branding and marketing campaigns for baseball. In a perfect world, the person would speak a little bit better English, but that had nothing to do with anything other than marketing and branding. As far as
you can always get them to say a few words.
Well, right, exactly. You can make do, but as far as them playing or not playing, they're there because they wanted to be when they were kids, and they're still there because they're good.
Right.
That's all there is to it, and then nothing to do with anything.
And you know me, I'll go watch O'Neal Cruz play any day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. So there you have it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Let's take a look at the day that was in the NBA, and we'll continue on from there. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All right, big day in the NBA last night. All 30 teams were in action. That was in part because the league made a calculated decision that they didn't want to have any games today, so no games tonight. Of course, it's election night. That is the reason why. Which, hey, whatever. I don't think you have to have the leagues like close up shop to go vote.
There's games tonight.
Are there?
Isn't there?
I don't think so. I think that they loaded up yesterday explicitly to avoid having games on election night. I'm pretty sure the NBA made a conscious decision to do that.
Okay, yeah, that is correct. I was looking at the wrong day.
Yep. Yeah, so no games tonight. And I was just saying that, I appreciate the sentiment. Voting is important. But I feel like I can chew and walk gum at the same time. I can make time to go vote for an hour and still watch an NBA game on the same day. Believe it or not, I am capable of at least that level of multitasking.
Well, I can vote, and I'll be attending a hockey game tonight. So
see, look at that. Look at you. But anyway.
And the Bucks lost their first game.
There we go. They lost.
Didn't we mention that yesterday?
We did. We talked about this. We absolutely did.
It could happen on any night.
Any night. And I'll tell you something. One of my favorite guards in the NBA had a great game last night. That's DeJounte Murray of Atlanta, former Spur. This guy, to me, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of a younger, less powerful, like physically. He doesn't have the same strong build. But he reminds me of the guy he was going against last night, Drew Holiday. This kid is just a Swiss Army knife. Just good on both ends of the court. Has good size for his position. Not the powerhouse that Holiday is. But, man, this guy can straight up play. I've always been a big fan of his. I was surprised the Spurs gave up on him. He's young enough that you could have kept him as part of your rebuilding base. I love this kid's game. He was spectacular last night. 25, 8, and 11. He just played brilliant basketball.
Doncic had his 9th straight game with 30. He had 36, 6, and 6.
He's closing in on Wilt, isn't he?
Yeah,
Didn't Wilt have like 11 straight games to open a season of 30 points?
Yeah.
I think was the record I read.
And a shout out to Steph Curry last night. 47, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 0 turnovers.
Jeez.
That's a game.
That's a great game. By the way, before we continue going through these, I was looking at the scores late last night. I generally look on CBS. And so I was doing that late last night. And, CBS, you know how they have under their score, they have like the picture of the player of the game for each team with their team name next to them and their stat line?
Yes.
Well, yesterday, they fixed it now. but I took a screenshot of it. They actually had it reversed. So, like, for example, the Portland game, the performers of the game were Bam Adebayo from Miami and Anthony Simons for Portland. Well, it said A. Simons, Miami. It said B. Adebayo, Portland. They had it, and they were all like that. Every game was like that. So they had something messed up in their code. It was pretty funny, but they fixed
Simons
it.
was on fire.
Oh, he was.
Last night, especially late in the game. And Strus right before that hit that 3 to tie it.
And they had an explosive fourth quarter, Portland, 37 in the fourth. That's really where they won this game, was that fourth quarter.
And that was fun. That was a fun game to watch.
One other game we talked about yesterday, I said I thought the Bulls could potentially beat Toronto, and they sure did last night. They beat them 111-97. Zach LaVine with 30 points to lead the way. Fred VanVleet had 27 for Toronto.
I figured that. I didn't figure either team to sweep.
No, because that was a home and home.
Anthony Davis against the Jazz. Oh, he had 29. 4 rebounds. 4?
Those are hard rebounds, Rich. Come on, give the guy credit.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
When are they going to realize in that 23-point loss where every starting player was a big minus?
Yeah, no LeBron in this game. Remember just a couple of days ago when LeBron was the problem? Oh, wait, he's not the problem?
No, he's not. And when are
team
people going to
sucks.
realize? No, Westbrook came off the bench in 24 minutes and had 22. Shot 8 of 14. Fine.
I think Westbrook has found his
minus
role.
23, a problem.
Yeah.
And his days of being an elite defender are kind of done. But what they need him for off the bench, he can give them, especially if he's more efficient.
Yes.
But Davis
is a problem. Davis is, I think, maybe the problem on this team.
And when are they going to realize that that's the issue?
Well, I did see yesterday, really for the first time, HoopsWire and a few other places, significant, at least speculation of a potential trade of Davis. That's the first time I've seen that in any way publicly. So maybe those wheels are beginning to turn in the head of Rob Pelinka.
And Kendrick Nunn in the starting lineup, 7 of 11, 2 of 4 from 3, 18 points.
See,
in 26 minutes.
I don't like to pile on one guy, but the truth is, if Davis was a different type of mentality, because he feels very much just like, blah, blah, blah. I got to do what I got to do to get my paycheck. He feels very indifferent. And that attitude, I think, permeates more than it should. Because if you put a guy who had more of a go-get-it type of mentality in his place, like take a guy who's not even nearly as good as him, but let's just swap the guy that kicked his butt last night. Let's put Lauri Markkanen in Davis's place right now. Like, the attitude of this team would be so much different.
And someone would laugh 2 years ago if you said that.
Of course, I would have laughed at myself. But Davis has just turned into such a, just to go with the flow, indifferent. That's the word. He's turned into such an indifferent player. He just doesn't care. I feel like he feels like I got my championship, whatever, got my money, I'm just going to go about my business. And that doesn't work, man. I mean, it doesn't work for me as a fan.
No.
I guess I understand it. I mean, how many people
don't.
But I mean, how many people just punch a clock every day to go get their pension after 20 years? I mean, that's a normal mentality in the world. It is. It's not like he didn't invent a mentality. But in an entertainment competitive activity like pro basketball, it's just more visually apparent than a guy who works at a sanitation plant for 25 years and doesn't give a crap for 23 of them. It's different, even though it's the same.
I agree. Now, another game I want to look at, the Knicks.
Yes.
Put away the Timberwolves. Okay, I know who didn't play, but Karl Anthony Towns kind of made up for it.
He sure did.
25, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 38 solid minutes. When are they going to realize that as big of a part as the T-Wolves offense Anthony Edwards is, they have issues with him on the floor. I mean, during one possession, Edwards stood, not moving at all with his hands on his hips. Apparently, a play wasn't called for him. His defender eventually realized, I think it was Barrett, that he wasn't going to do anything and just left Edwards. Left him alone. Now, could he rest on plays that aren't for him? How old is this kid? Come on.
He's 19, 20, 21. Like, yeah, he doesn't need to rest.
I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear the excuses they continue to make for him. If you want to talk about energy, he's your biggest problem. And he has far too much talent.
I agree.
To do this.
I agree.
To play like this. And he had an uninspired, what did he have, 15? He had a very 5 for 14 shooting.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
I mean, someone tried to defend him by saying, well, he rests on plays that aren't for him. Jog to a corner. Do something. He stood there.
Got a few more games to go through. I think this is a 2-segment attack, but we're going to take our top of the hour break, come back through the top 5. We'll get back to this in about 20 minutes or so. Then we also have some news you can use, a couple hockey scores, a few other things to get to. So let's, you want to do our NFL power rankings today? You want to do that tomorrow?
Let's do it tomorrow. I haven't even finished my list yet.
All right, there we go. All right, so we'll get that tomorrow. Scott, you have to wait one more day to hear your Jets in the big lights. I'm sorry.
And we'll probably both have them in there.
Well, I promised him I would, because I told him like 3 or 4 weeks ago, if the Jets ever managed to beat Buffalo, or if they won 2 of the other 3 around this game, I would put them in there, if assuming everything went according to plan. So I got to hold my word. So I don't know if I really feel them as a top 10 team, in all honesty, but, you know, after a win like that, I got to give them their flowers at least for 1 week.
Yeah.
That's a good win.
Yeah, they deserve it. It's a great win.
So there you have it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Top 5, top of the hour. Get back into some of these NBA games. We got about half of them still to get to. Great day. I just love when there's a full slate of basketball. Doesn't it just make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside? It's just like, a comforting feeling. Like, we got 15 games to talk about.
Oh, last night was so much fun.
Oh, it's the best. Those are the nights you want to have League Pass, right? Like, those are the nights where it's like, I just want to.
Actually, I'm telling you, NBA TV with that bounce around, I got to look every time a game was trending or changing.
That's cool.
That was riveting.
It's called crossover or something, is it? It's something like that. Like
something like that. Yeah. I forget. I think it's 2 words.
Crunch time. Sure. Crunch time. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I knew it was something like that. All right, there you have it.
That was worth it.
Yeah, I got to get NBA TV. I really do. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll continue on. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. All righty, hour 2 of the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave. CaveTalkRadio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard. Facebook Live, YouTube Live as well. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo. Hour 2, top of the hour. It only means one thing. In the immortal voice of Jack George, it's time for the top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
There we go. All right. What do we got today, Rich?
In lieu of the Frank Reich firing
Yes.
yesterday, and I have words I want to put out there about that later.
Okay.
Give me your top 5 strangest in-season coach firings.
Well, before I do that, go for it. Give your piece on the Frank Reich situation.
If they felt that's what they needed, fine. Jeff Saturday, this guy was an analyst for ESPN, great football player.
Yeah, he was a great football player.
As everyone says, nice guy. This is such a Colts move.
It really
Bringing
is.
someone in who has zero rapport with the coaching staff.
Right. I think he coached like a special consultant or something. He coached like a high school team or something. Like what?
Yeah, this has Irsay written all over it.
God, it's in permanent marker. It's in graffiti. It's not even marker. It's graffiti. It's a tag. This is a tag job.
How does he know how to deal with this coaching staff, what their strengths and weaknesses are, what they do? He hasn't been in that room with them.
Does he even know how to run a practice or do a meeting? I mean, he has no coaching experience at all. I mean, because coaching high school is kind of like, okay, run a couple of drills during the week. You show up it's nowhere near the job that coaching an NFL team is.
Right. And shame on the Colts for doing this.
And yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Saturday even took the gig, to be honest.
Yeah, he's pretty well entrenched in ESPN. He does College Game Day.
Now it did say interim, so I wonder if he's doing this as a personal favor to Irsay for the rest of the season, so they can hire someone maybe that they have their eyes on. That's maybe going to be likely available, but not available right now. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of is this is just okay, just help me out for 6 weeks or whatever this is.
But there was no one on that staff, just for continuity purposes, that you could have said, take this the rest of the year.
Oh, I'm sure there was, but maybe, Irsay's big on personal relationships, and I know him and Saturday are close. This might have just been a friend asking a friend to do something. That's the only, I mean, I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just trying to parse it in my mind and try to think of what could at least make sense as a train of thought. That's the only thing I could come up with, is that this is intended from the beginning to be just keep the seat warm for 6 weeks because I like you and I trust you, and we have our eyes set on someone who might be available later on. That's the only thing I could think of. I mean, and again, I'm not defending it. I agree with you.
No, it doesn't defend it. It would be like Jeff Bezos coming to someone and coming to you and saying, I need you to be my vice president of clothing merchandising because you're my friend.
Hey, are you going to pay me? Let's go. I don't know the first thing about it. I'm going to suck at the job, but hey, you know what? I'll take your money. You got more of it than me, so I'll take some of it. That's fine with me.
That's why Jeff Bezos wouldn't say that. No matter what kind of a friend he was to you, he would not say that.
Right. Oh, man.
This is why Irsay fails.
It's amazing, though, for all his supposed incompetence and obvious flaws, Irsay and the Colts have had more sustained success over the last 20-something years than most NFL franchises.
Yeah, he lucked out with one all-time great quarterback and another very good one.
Right. And
look at him now calling the shots on quarterbacks.
Yeah, Ellinger, whatever his name is. Not good.
That building's a dumpster fire at best.
Good times. Okay, well there you have it. So Frank Reich, what about him? Poor guy. What's next for him?
Think he's a good coach.
I agree.
I would love to see him go someplace. Rest the rest of the year. Just collect yourself. Go someplace and be a good offensive coordinator. He knows how to call a game. And I think he could do that.
I agree.
But yeah, just take the rest of the year and collect yourself. Get your. You did right and wrong. Your 4+ year record is over 500 with the collection of quarterbacks that you had.
Right.
It didn't work with Ryan, but I think last year we talked about it and felt that it was never going to work again with Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan's been, you could just tell Ryan's been shot for a long time. I mean, he really, truly, since that Super Bowl, he's never been the same again.
Right.
That like effectively ended his career as, because up to that point, after you got past the Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers group, Matt Ryan was in that next group of quarterbacks that would come to the top of your mind as some of the best in the league. I mean, this guy at one point in his career was without a doubt a top 10 NFL quarterback.
Oh yeah, you had him right on the list with guys like Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford, you know, someone like you know, maybe someone of the caliber of you know, I mean, he was really good. I tried to think of some other guys, but he was really, really good. I mean,
yeah.
And then that happened, and then he wasn't.
and then age just took over.
Yeah, right. So there you have it. All right. Well, all right. So now to the top 5. Top 5 strangest mid-season coaching firings. Wasn't Jim Caldwell fired in the middle of a season by the Lions?
Yes.
That was a weird one. It's like the only coach in like 100 years that brought you any semblance of stability and success.
They had a halfway decent team, especially defensively with him.
Yeah, they did. So that comes to mind. I remember, who was it? Well, I mean, you could do a whole top 5 on just George Steinbrenner firing and hiring Billy Martin in this category.
Go for it.
It is all, I mean, I don't know how many times he actually did that. It feels like 50. It's probably more like 4, but like that, I'll just gonna choose one of them. Billy Martin hired and fired. Didn't he get hired and fired inside of one season one time?
Yes.
Yeah, that has to top.
And you figure it was what, 6 times for his entire career?
Yeah, that has to top the list. I think, because that just doesn't make any sense. It's like, anyway.
That could be your list.
Yeah, it really could be. So there's that.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Let's think about basketball. You know, you don't see this too much in the NBA. It wasn't mid-season firing, so it doesn't qualify. But I do want to just point out,
if it's an in-season firing, it counts.
No, I'm saying this isn't an in-season firing. But it's just something I want to mention. I thought it was wacky that the Toronto fired Casey a month after or less after he was awarded Coach of the Year. I mean, now obviously Nick Nurse is a good coach. I'm not saying, but so is Casey. Casey's a good coach too. Dwayne Casey's an excellent coach.
He just didn't deliver what they needed for that.
What they wanted, right? But it's funny, he got Coach of the Year and got, canned at the same time. That happened to Joe Girardi too in baseball in 2003. Coached the Marlins for a short time.
Yep.
And then
Ted Nolan in hockey won Coach of the Year and was fired.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That stuff always, more than like mid-season firings, that always stands out in my mind. It's like, wait, everyone else thinks this guy's great.
Let's expand this to the oddest coach firing.
Yeah. Okay. That's definitely one of them. The Joe Girardi one for sure. Because it was after their World Series. He took over the year after their World Series because Jack McKeon won the World Series and then retired as manager. And Joe Girardi took his place. won Manager of the Year, kept a team that had just fire sailed all its best players in relative contention, and for his efforts, they fired him. What?
And they did too. They had that 75% off sign.
Oh,
up
they
the
sure
day after
did.
that parade.
It's like a yard sale. They're like, free.
Yeah.
Come and take it.
Everything must go.
It's like, oh my goodness. And Girardi at that time was only a year or two removed from his playing career. You know, he was about, I think he retired after the 2003 season as a player. I think he played his last year with the Cubs, maybe.
Very true. Yes.
So he retired as a player. And so there, that one I'll always remember. The Casey one I thought was odd too.
And I was all for it at the time because I too had felt that he couldn't deliver what they wanted out of their team.
Now, he didn't have Kawhi Leonard either.
No, but he had DeMar DeRozan and didn't get out of him what was expected.
Right. Well, DeRozan wasn't on the team that delivered the championship either.
No.
Yeah.
No, he was involved in the Leonard trade.
Right, in the trade, right. Yeah. I think, personally, I think both guys are good coaches, Nurse and Casey. I think that had a lot more to do with Kawhi Leonard than it did Nick Nurse, or Dwayne Casey more specifically. But either way,
Right.
I thought that was strange.
And it was just it's fit.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of good coaches that just didn't fit places.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I just find it hard to believe you can have the success he had and then get the accolades he got without fitting. Like, it's just now, Adam, what's his name? Adam Gase. You talk about not fitting. That guy doesn't fit any place. That's just your daily Adam Gase reference. No, nothing else. Just he's like my Doc Rivers. I like to just throw him under the bus whenever I can.
Hey, Doc was never fired mid-season either.
That's true.
Neither was what's his name, Coach Nate there in Denver.
Not yet.
Full time.
Not yet. Let's see some others. I thought it was weird when the Lakers let go of well, I guess he retired on his own. See, when Rudy Tomjanovich kind of stepped down as quickly as he did, I think he was kind of pressured to do so. I was excited when he took over. I thought he was going to, and I think he would have done a good job, but I always thought Rudy was a very good coach, but there were other things at play there that I don't know that ever made any sense. So I always thought that was an odd one, because then they went with the holy trinity of Mike Brown, Ron Rothstein, and Mike D'Antoni after that. It was like not a pretty sight.
I didn't understand that either. They had no reason to fire Tomjanovich unless it was player driven.
Yeah, he stepped down, quote unquote, for health reasons. But yeah, sure, okay, whatever you say. I'll believe that one. Let's see a couple others. Football. I never liked the way Tampa Bay moved on from Tony Dungy. I thought he got a lot of blame for that. Now, I guess history, disagrees with me. They won the Super Bowl the next year under Gruden with basically Tony's guys, but
what happened in the next 3 years under Gruden?
Everything fell apart
with the less of Dungy's guys you had.
Right, exactly.
No, I agree. I think that firing was more than questionable.
It was very questionable. And then Tony did a good job, of course, in Indy afterwards. You know who's not on this list? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? Because they've had 7 coaches in their whole history.
They just don't fire coaches.
No, they don't. They hire the guy, and it's a job for 25 years. It's the best job to get, really.
Oh, I mean, Cowher had losing seasons.
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah, not too many.
But they knew
right
that he would bounce back.
Right.
That's why they're such a good franchise. They have patience with their coaches.
Yes. Well, because they actually, more than patience, they look at, okay, what's actually causing the problem? Like right now, I'm
Right.
sure they're not questioning Mike Tomlin. They're looking at like, well, our offense doesn't have a lot of weapons. Harris has missed time. This quarterback Pickett, maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not. We don't have great receivers. Like they're looking at their roster. I'm sure of it. Because they actually look to see what the problem is, not what the how come we get a pound of flesh and get the meteor off our backs for a couple of weeks.
Right.
You know?
How was Chase Claypool the problem?
Yeah, that was a strange trade. I didn't understand that.
That out of everything, and the team that took him too, you just tore it apart. What are you doing?
Yeah, he went to where? He went to
The
Chicago,
Bears,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, poor guy. He's like,
I think it's great for Justin Fields.
yeah. Well, he played great. This week, man. He had a great game. They didn't win, but they came close. They made it a game.
Hey, you never know if they call that obvious interference on Claypool late in that game.
Yeah, I mean that was a hell of a game. It really was. I really enjoyed it. I think that all right. Let's see. Let's put these in order now. Number one has to be the Billy Martin thing. That just the whole thing just. If you are not aware of sports history and you're not old enough to have been alive for that, I was not old enough to be alive for that, but I'm aware of sports history. But if you weren't, and someone told you that, you would immediately go to Google to make sure they weren't making shit up. This doesn't even make any sense.
I think he's been the story of a few rewinds as well.
He sure has. I mean, it almost doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense. The whole thing is like, you wouldn't believe it because it's so far outside, to borrow a political term, the Overton window of how coaches are handled, that like, it's almost like a National Enquirer headline. Oh, man lands on Mars and meets a Martian and gives him a Snickers bar. Like, it's like that. Like, it's like, what? But it really happened.
For punching a marshmallow salesman. Okay.
right. but it really happened. Like, they call it the Bronx Zoo for a reason. It was nuts. So that's definitely number one. I think the Joe Girardi one is number two for me.
That surprised me.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I'm gonna put Joe Girardi on this list a second time. I think his it wasn't really a firing, but they didn't renew his contract. They basically, just told him go away in favor of Aaron Boone. And Aaron Boone, with a lot of the young players Joe developed all these years later, still hasn't achieved even what Joe achieved when they were babies.
Right.
So, like, there's that. I know a lot of people want to take the shine off the Girardi penny and point to Philly this year, with how they kind of took off after he was dismissed. But that might go back to what you were talking about, fit before. Maybe just wasn't a fit there. But, I mean, Joe Girardi's an excellent manager. He's one of the better managers of the last 15 years, in my opinion. 20 years. I've always been a big fan of his. So I'm going to put him on the list twice, as a matter of fact. Both times made no sense to me. Fourth, I'm going to go with Rudy Tomjanovich. The whole thing just stunk of politics to me. And then what made it worse was because Phil Jackson didn't come back. Now, I'm trying to remember my timeline. Did Phil Jackson retire the second time and then Rudy took over, or did Rudy take over after Phil retired the first time? There were a couple guys in between and then Phil came back. I'm trying to remember.
I'm looking right now
because I know I think he was in between the coaching stints of Jackson. I think he was in the middle. I think he was the first guy post Jackson the first time.
Tomjanovich's coaching record,
I'm pretty sure
04-05 with the Lakers.
Yeah, so I was right. So yeah, he was the coach directly after Jackson resigned the first time. And then we had the poo-poo platter in the middle there. It wasn't D'Antoni. It was Ron Rothstein. I think, who else was there? I mean, that was a mess.
Wasn't Mike Brown there?
I thought that was later.
And Tomjanovich didn't have a losing record in LA either.
That's why it didn't make any sense. It's like, okay, at the time you didn't know Phil Jackson was going to come back. You know what I mean? Like, you assumed that he was going to be, gone. So, I mean, bringing in a guy like Tomjanovich who had won championships made a lot of sense. So, all right. So you had Rudy Tomjanovich followed by Frank Hamlin, who took over that season for him. Then Phil Jackson did come back. So there was no one in between. So there was that 1 year, and then Phil Jackson came back for the ensuing, looks like 6 years, followed by Mike Brown, then Bernie Bickerstaff, Mike D'Antoni, Byron Scott, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, and now Darvin Ham. Yeah, okay. So that's what it was. This is a 1 year sabbatical. It didn't make any sense.
The Lakers couldn't wait to fire Vogel either.
Yeah, I know.
And it's obvious that wasn't the problem.
That wasn't the issue. No question about it. I think the last slot on this list for me is going to go to Jim Caldwell. That made no sense either. So that's going to be my fifth.
That's perfect.
So that's my list. 1 is Billy Martin. Take your pick. 2, Joe Girardi in Miami, Florida, as it was known then, which, of course, Miami's in Florida. Also in Ohio. Don't get them confused.
True.
You won't go there in February. You won't confuse them, I promise.
That's right.
Number 3 is Joe Girardi again with his, non-renewal with the Yankees. Number 4, Rudy Tomjanovich. And number 5, Jim Caldwell. Honorable mention, Dwayne Casey.
Sounds good.
There you have it. That's my top 5.
Sounds very good.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll go back to some of the NBA games. We got through about half of them at the end of hour 1. We'll do the other half now. Then we'll do some hockey scores, news you can use. That's what's on tap the rest of the way. It's the Gary Ayd Show, back after this here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show. Let's go back into NBA mode. A lot to get to there. We covered about half the games. We didn't talk about what we both thought was the best game of the night, and it certainly didn't disappoint. That was, of course, Boston and Memphis. And I'll tell you what, the stars were out. But before we get to that one, I still had this one up, so I wanted to. We'll get to that next. But Denver played a close game with San Antonio, who's been surprising.
They did. Jokic was, 2 rebounds shy of a triple-double, too.
Yeah, this was a game, the reason that he was, and this is the reason I wanted to call this game out. If you're in the Nuggets, this is exactly the type of box score you want to see going forward. Jokic with 26, 20 attempts, 11 makes. Michael Porter Jr. with 24 and 16 attempts. And Jamal Murray with 19, 17 attempts. 9 of 17 for Murray, 9 of 16 for Porter, 11 of 20 for Jokic. That is dream world if you're the coaching staff of the Nuggets right there. You want to see that every game.
And you also had KCP in double figures, and everybody in that starting five was a plus player.
Yep. And you love to see Murray and Porter sliding into their natural spots behind Jokic. Because I'll tell you what, if those three are healthy and cohesive, this Nuggets team is as good as anybody in the West. I still think they need a rim protector. And that would be the only thing I would say they could use. But other than that, man, I like this team. I love their addition to Bruce Brown. I like Green off the bench for them. Caldwell Pope, I've always been a big fan of his. Aaron Gordon, brings some athleticism and occasional scoring punch. I think they're one rim blocker, rim runner, rim protector away from
I do too.
From really being a fully complete championship team. I mean, even as presently constructed, I wouldn't, bet against them in any given series necessarily. I mean, they're really good.
And like I said, I mean, DeAndre Jordan is just not that guy anymore. Now, he had a nice night. He had 8 rebounds and 2 blocks in 14 minutes. But you can't count on him for longer than that anymore at this stage in his career.
That's right. That's right.
But if he can consistently give them that 14 minutes, it'll go a long way.
Oh, it will. There's no question about it. So, all right. So there's that game. Let's pull our attention back to some others. But I think Denver is one of my favorite teams to watch. They're just a awesome watch. All right.
They move the ball. They move without the ball.
Yeah.
They're unselfish. They're a fun team.
No, they are. They absolutely are. Okay, so that brings us to our game of the night, and it did not disappoint. Celtics edged the Grizzlies 109-106. This was perfect basketball. Nice offensive pace, but obviously still a good amount of defense in this game. There were 3 quarters by the Celtics of under 30, 2 quarters by the Grizzlies under 30. So there was defense in this game. There was offense. There was drama. The stars were out. I mean, if you like NBA basketball, this had a little bit of everything for you.
It did. And the Celtics were balanced. Each player, Tatum took a lot of shots to get his 39.
Yep.
Brown took a lot of shots to get his, and neither of them shot 50%.
Right.
But Brown was great on the boards.
Tatum came close to 50%. He was 1 shot off. He was 12 of 25. So
yeah.
Almost 50%, just under.
It's the 3-point shooting that concerned me. It's a lot of attempts. But he played excellent on the defensive end. Bringing Brogdon off the bench was interesting, and he didn't look bad. He had 10 rebounds coming off the bench. He just didn't shoot well.
He never has shooting touch tonight, no.
And if you look at the other side, Morant had a nice game, 38 and 9. He was all over the place.
Yeah, he was good.
Brandon Clark was tough, too. He didn't score big. He didn't take a lot of shots because Brooks, Bane, and Morant took the majority of them. But Brandon Clark played well, clogged up the middle, stayed out of foul trouble, which was nice. And it was good to see him get 30 minutes and be that productive.
Oh, it really was. Now, is Steven
Adams a good game?
Is Steven Adams hurt?
Yes. Not badly.
Okay. I just noticed
he was inactive. So was Jaren Jackson Jr.
Right. That's a big loss.
And Danny Green, and they still played well. But you didn't have RW3 for Boston either.
Blake Griffin was tethered to the bench.
As well he should be at this stage in his career.
Yeah.
He had that one good year, not last year, the year before with the Nets.
Yep.
Then he just falls apart.
Yep.
he can't do it at that level for that many minutes where you can count on him in a game like this. But it was a great game from both sides.
Oh, it really was. Talk about the 76ers laying the smackdown on the Suns. I mean, it's only a 12-point game in the end, but man, Embiid played and played. He did. 33, 10, and 5 for Embiid. Absolutely dominated. And, the thing about a game like this, Embiid was going up against a matchup that among centers in the NBA, Ayton is, upper echelon for sure. And Embiid just took him to task. I mean, he absolutely
did.
crunched him in this game.
And Embiid was a plus player. Ayton was a minus.
Yep.
That makes a big difference. And Tobias Harris had a decent game.
Yeah, he didn't shoot a great percentage, but he was the extra
21,
volume
8,
they
and
needed.
6, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. So,
And because Maxey really had an off night. So they needed Harris to take those shots.
Self-fulfilling prophecy maybe for Doc. He has to play Maxey more, and now Maxey doesn't do well. So he's like, see. No, Doc. He just had a bad game.
No, it was just an off shooting night.
No, I don't see.
He still had 6 assists.
Yep.
He still did some other things. And he was a plus defensively.
You had Niang off the bench with 21, which was a found money on 7 of 11 shooting. That was probably, honestly, the difference in this game.
7 of 10 from 3,
insane.
if you can believe that.
Just found money, just extra money. Not much to speak of
Still-
on Phoenix's side. I mean,
Still, Tybull plays 10 minutes, and Harold doesn't play at all. Neither does Korkmaz. I think they're just destroying that.
now did Chris Paul get hurt in this game? He only played 13 minutes.
He did.
Yeah. He only played the 13 minutes. Didn't do much in that time. And then, Booker tried to carry the load. He was 8 for 16, 1 of 1. He didn't shoot many threes. Only made 1 3, took 1.
No, he was driving a lot.
Yeah,
and
he was attacking the
it
bit.
showed in the free throw stats.
Yep. Yeah, he shot 14 free throws. So
Plus, he had 7 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, he did turn it over some.
yep, he had 6
But-
turnovers.
Yeah, but he played well.
Yeah, it's a good game. I was surprised Saric barely played.
3 minutes. I question that too.
Landry Shamet buried on the bench, didn't play much.
Didn't hit a shot when he was in.
Nope. So not a good game if you're Phoenix. And this game, I mean, it really comes down to Embiid and Harris, and then Yang off the bench, or like the 3 big blows here. I mean, but Embiid, give Embiid the credit, man. This guy just absolutely beat their butt all night long. He really did.
They did. They really did. And it was quite interesting.
Gotta
So was Wizards Hornets.
Wizards Hornets, yes.
Porzingis is just quietly playing very effectively. He had 19, 8, and 5. It's a lot of assists for him.
It is. It was a surprisingly entertaining game given how bad both teams are. Rockets and Magic was actually a lot of fun. Rockets won 134, 127. Both young players showed out. Jalen Green, 34, second-year pro, and then, of course, Banchero with 30. And I want to give a little shout-out to our guy Dylan, big Pacers fan. Pacers with a nice win against the Pelicans last night. Miles Turner, maybe the game of his life, 37 and 12 in the win. And then Ingram had 29 in the loss for New Orleans.
And I'm curious to see what Turner follows that up with. Back to that Wizards game. I know it wasn't much of a game, but it was a nice win for them considering they didn't have Bradley Beal.
Yes, it was a good win.
Yeah, but Banchero did show out. He really did.
Last couple of games here to take a look at. Mavericks beat the Nets in a 1997 matchup, 96-94. Kevin Durant with 26, Luka with 36, 6 and 6, Durant with 4 and 4. And then
What was Durant's free throw shooting?
let's take a look. See, Durant at the line was 5 of 7.
He missed 2 in the last minute of the game. He missed 1, then had to miss the 3rd intentional.
Got it.
So that's when you needed him to go 3 for 3.
Luca, for his part, was 9 of 12 at the line, 5 of 9 from 3, 11 for 22 overall. Last couple of scores here, just to touch on him. He touched on the Kings and Warriors game. Warriors managed to squeak out a win. Takes a heroic performance from Steph Curry to do it, but they managed to do it.
I was more impressed with the 0 turnovers than any other number in that game.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. And then you have the Heat narrowly losing to the Trailblazers. And we mentioned the Pelicans and Pacers. I mentioned the Rockets. No, the last game here, this is the one I wanted to get to. Thunder and Pistons. I thought this game was going to be interesting. And it was. The Thunder end up dropping this one to the Pistons, 112-103. Sadiq Bey is the guy to carry the day. But Cade Cunningham with a nice game himself, 21, 11, and 7. Bey just had a couple more points, 25. This kind of was exactly what I was talking about. Cunningham and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, SGA had a game.
He had a great game, 33, 7, and 5. I mean, these guys those two are probably two of my favorite guards to watch in the whole NBA. Both of them are spectacular. So that was a lot of fun. So there you have it. Big night in the NBA.
And then, fun night, really.
Great night. And now we take
more
the day
of
off.
those.
Now we take the day off. So go vote. Go stand in line and vote.
I beat the rush.
There we go. Yeah, I always go day of. So I'll be going probably shortly after the show. So, all right, let's take our last break. We'll come back. We'll do some news you can use and hit some hockey scores as well. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Last 20 minutes here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then, if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, it's time for some news you can use. But before we do that, get us caught up on the NHL last night, Rich.
A light night in the NHL last night, and I like the way the NHL and NBA work together on these scheduling things. It's real good to have just 3 games last night, only one involved, and it turned out quite well. The Islanders spotted Calgary a 3-1 lead, came back to win 4-3. Calgary is just slip sliding away with 5 losses in a row. Boston beat St. Louis 3-1. That's the Blues' 7th straight loss. And Washington handled Edmonton 5-4. One quick story. Cam Neely had to meet the press yesterday, and it was kind of uncomfortable. He said a few things that were quite interesting. He said it was extremely concerning that the Bruins didn't talk to the victim's family. Said he's working to find out why and that he is planning to talk to them. I think he should have done it first. He made it clear that we have to vet things out properly. I shouldn't assume anything. No, you shouldn't, because a 20-year-old tells you so. Kids lie. Newsflash.
Hey. They do.
Neely says this week he will have to deal with possible internal discipline. Neely says he did meet with Miller before the signing and found him remorseful. Well, it's a shame that he didn't take the time to apologize to the kid. Neely said this is his biggest regret as team president by far. Neely was asked if he felt misled by Miller and or his agent. He said, I think it's best not to get into that. Smart. He said, well, I do believe in second chances. Maybe some people are not deserving of them. And when asked what he'd say to fans who are African-American, or fans who are or know someone disabled, he said, I want to apologize on the behalf of the Bruins. It was a decision we don't take lightly. I felt based on everything I know he deserved a second chance, but admitted after he found out more, it wasn't the right call. He had to stand up to the firing line, but I'm kind of glad he did. And they hammered him pretty hard.
All right.
Well, when you're in the big boy chair.
Yeah, no such thing as second chances right now. That's for sure. Took their slings and arrows.
This kid had 6 years to apologize to the kid.
Yeah, but apologizing wouldn't have accomplished anything anyway. That's the whole problem.
No, but it could have been done.
Well, yeah, but it could have been done. But if it's not going to accomplish anything, why would I do it? I mean, if it's not going to do anything, what's the point? That's my whole problem with it. Like, we either have to get back to a place where apologies actually matter, or we have to stop expecting people to make them just because it's quote unquote the right thing to do. Well, if it doesn't accomplish anything measurable, there's no point in doing it. I mean, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is that way. Because like the second you apologize, they're breaking down how the apology was too late, wasn't sincere, wasn't delivered the right way, didn't show enough contrition, whatever the hell. There's like half a dozen things that they're all the same talking points, no matter what the situation is. Whenever one of these things comes up, like, I'm not opening that can of worms. Just talk about how much of a jerk I was with what I did the first time. You could still talk about that. I'm not going to give you another thing to talk about with the apology. Like, unless the apology is going to help the situation and help my situation, I'm not issuing it. I don't blame the kid at all.
Well, the only reason he issued the apology 6 years later was because he thought he had a chance to sign.
And that makes sense. I would do the exact same thing. I totally get that. And to make me a bad person, maybe it does. That's fine. But like, the truth is, if I'm a public figure, I'm saying nothing that doesn't, in my estimation, benefit me. If it doesn't benefit me, I am giving you the Drew Rosenhaus answer. Next question. That's it.
Well, if he would have done it maybe 5 years ago, he wouldn't be in this.
Well, that's the whole thing. If he did it 5 years ago, he would have been 6 months late then. Like, there's just no winning with these apologies. There's just not. And that's the thing that sucks about it, is like, you can't win. So the hell with it. I'm not going to do it. That's why, I mean, but hey.
I disagree, but that's okay.
I think it's, you're just asking for another thing.
I still say he should have apologized to the kid after this was done, because people don't do the kind of things that were done. And there's no excuse for it. I personally would never sign the kid, ever. Because that's the last thing I want hanging over my franchise.
Yeah, I don't care about stuff like that.
I know you don't.
I care about talent and really nothing else. As long as the person's going to be available to play, legally speaking. It's one thing if you're Aaron Hernandez and you're hanging out in prison. Well, I can't use you because you're not available. But short of that, if you're good enough, I'll take you. I'm definitely of the Al Davis school of thought with that kind of thing.
See, and there's certain kinds of people I don't want playing.
I don't have a line, as they say, other than you have to be available to play. But that's me. All right, what do we got for the news you can use today?
Interesting. The Nets management being urged to rethink the hiring of Ime Udoka. Strong voices in quotes. And this is from NBC Sports Pro Basketball Talk. Within an hour, of the Nets parting ways with Nash, Udoka's name was out there. 6 days later, they haven't hired him. They're letting Jacques Vaughn do the job. League sources say, and this is from Mark Stein, that there have been some strong voices urging Joe Tsai to back off on the Nets' intention to hire Ime Udoka.
What did I just finish saying? He apologized in minutes. Look how much good it did him. This is why the hell with you. I'm not apologizing for anything. It's exactly what I'm talking about.
And then they would make sure he never got an interview.
Well, they're going to make sure of that right now, it looks like. That's my point.
They might be. Well, don't be surprised if one of those voices was Tsai's wife, who's an activist on social justice issues.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, whoever the voices are, I'm hearing voices, so you better go get your head checked. Whoever those voices are, it just proves my point. Like, apologizing when you do something wrong or bad or you get caught doesn't necessarily mean jack. It means nothing. I mean, and the truth is, you don't get to play it back twice. So, whatever ends up happening from this, we'll never know what would have happened had he taken the other approach. But it does show that, he apologized right away. Oh, well, we still don't want him hired. There's no such thing as a second chance. So the hell with it. If I did something
there is. They may want him to wait the year out. They may not want him to be rewarded after being suspended by a team for a year. Who knows what goes on in the minds of people coming out with these statements. Yes. Some people feel that hiring Udoka would be kind of a desperate move.
Well, they're a desperate organization. Of course it's a desperate move. They're on the doorstep of calamity. I mean, they've lost Harden. Ben Simmons still doesn't look right. Kyrie is, they've decided to self-sabotage their second best player for some reason. And they fired a coach. They're desperate. So yeah, it is a desperate hire. And he's a good coach. I would desperately want to hire a guy like that too if I was in a mess. Makes sense to me.
Well, then you have people in the NBA office asking, what does that say to the women in the Nets organization if they hire him?
Same thing.
I think there are some people very high up that want to make an example out of him.
So what, are we going to give him the Carlos Beltran treatment? He's never going to manage again? Is that what we're going to do?
No, I think they would ease up after the 1 year.
So just an arbitrary time that they decide to pick out of thin air. Oh, that seems right.
Well, it's not arbitrary. He was suspended for a year.
By the team, not the league.
Right.
That's a big difference. But
now the league wants to put their little stamp on this.
This wasn't a league issue. I mean, that's the...
I know, but I want to know. I would like to know who the strong voices are.
People that don't accept apologies. That's who they are.
But we don't know who they are.
Oh, no.
You can make up any sentence you want, but until we know who they are, I have no idea.
Oh, I don't know who they are, but they're clearly not moved by his contrition, because if they were, they wouldn't be doing this, whoever they are. And it sucks because that made a lot of sense. I thought that could have saved the Nets season, and I still believe that. It immediately makes them better than Atlanta to me. It immediately makes them better than Toronto. To me, it puts them in that second tier of Eastern Conference teams, whereas right now they're lucky to be in the playoffs. I think it makes that big a difference. And I want them to be better because, It's New York basketball. I want New York basketball to be good. It's not the Knicks. It'd be better if the Knicks were good, but like this just it drives me crazy. Like let teams do what they want to do. Like stop meddling in personnel decisions. It's just leave it alone. It's like the teams wanted to hire John Gruden. Well, the NFL didn't want that. So now the NBA is doing the same thing. No, let teams make their own choices.
You're surprised by this?
Oh, I'm not surprised. No, I'm not surprised at all. But what I'm saying, but I'm annoyed because, like it would be one thing if this was a joint team and league suspension from the jump. If from the beginning, it was just the league is saying we don't want you in the league for the next year. The team suspends you for the year. The league is extending that to other teams in the league. If that was like that from the very beginning, then fine. It would have been an overreaction. All he did was have an affair. I don't think he deserved any punishment at all, but fine. That's what you did. That's what you did. But now it's like, oh, well, he's going to get a job right away. No surprise because he's a great coach. And now the league wants to come in after the fact and say, wait. Like, no, that's what annoys me. It's the way it's done is it's like double jeopardy is what it is.
It is, but I think this is the league's way of being passive aggressive.
Oh, it is 100%.
We don't want to come out and say this.
Right.
But there are voices.
The voices.
Like the lizard people are coming into the room or something.
Oh, God.
And these voices are saying that, hey, we don't want you to sign this guy.
Yeah. Voices.
Derrick Henry is not going to be in the MVP conversation in the NFL. My question, why?
Because he's a running
back. He's
back.
That entire team.
He's the whole team because he's a running back.
They almost beat Patrick Mahomes with a quarterback that completed 5 passes for 80 yards.
I know.
Why is he not?
Because he's a running back, and NFL hates running backs who are too elite. The league is married to this thought that running backs are a meat grinder and they're interchangeable pieces. So when someone so clearly proves that to be not the case, it conflicts with the narrative. And they're not going to reward that confliction. That's why. And I'm not even talking, this isn't even necessarily the league. This is the media that covers the league because it's the media that votes for those things. And it's the media that crafts that narrative. It's not even really the NFL. This is more of a NFL media problem, I think, than a league problem.
The best value in the league, according to NFL media, is Geno Smith with his $3.5 million salary. Especially considering the quarterback they got rid of, they were going to have to pay over $30 million, and Denver decided to pay him $57 million.
Boom.
And 2 first-round draft picks.
Winning.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
Absolutely winning right there, right? What a disaster. All right. We got time for 1 or 2 more. What else?
Okay. The Red Sox say Xander Bogaerts remains their preferred option at shortstop, but they've yet to offer him a contract. How preferred is he?
They want to get preferred pricing on their preferred option.
Not going to happen.
Nope, it's not. If you shop at Nordstrom, don't expect Walmart prices. Hello.
Right. The Phillies exercised their $16 million club option on Aaron Nola. Smart move.
Yep.
The Yankees said $16 million for Anthony Rizzo. Hell no.
Yeah. Take that, one good defensive player, leader type. Yeah. We don't want that around here. You kidding me? That messes with the numbers, baby.
The Angels GM says they're not trading Shohei Ohtani in the offseason. They're committed to working to get him signed.
Good. They should say that. See if they can do it. But
that's the big question.
I'll tell you one thing, talking about Rizzo again for a second. I think he would help the Mets immeasurably.
I do too.
One more power bat. He can give you 25 home runs. Great defense. Good leadership. The only thing is, can he play a different position besides first? Because it's like I don't really want to move Alonso off first base and make him a DH. Alonso's a pretty competent, good defensive player, and he's pretty young. And I think he's also one of those guys that benefits from being in the game the whole game. I don't think he would handle basically sitting around for all but 4 plays a game.
I know it's a very small sample size, but his numbers as a DH aren't as good.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I think that I think I'd rather see if maybe Rizzo can place him third. He's a nimble,
Maybe.
athletic guy.
Maybe.
All right.
Jacob deGrom and Taijuan Walker opt out of the Mets contracts, but deGrom wants to resign.
Yeah, I think they'll keep deGrom. Walker and Bassett are 2 guys. I think I'd like to keep one of the 2. And it would be pretty well, which one can I get the best value on? I think you bought low and are selling high on both in terms of, I think you got the best out of both this year. So I think that ultimately you're going to pay for depreciating returns if you pay these guys based off of last year. So for that reason, if I can get one of them to return on a reasonable value, then I'll take either one. But I'm prepared to lose both versus overpaying either.
If I got time for one more quick one, and I will make it quick.
Okay, what do you got?
Andrei Stojakovic, 5-star recruit, commits to Stanford. Name sound familiar? Pedro is his father.
Interesting. So he's going to play basketball like his dad, huh?
Oh yeah, and he's a 5-star recruit too.
There we go. Love it. All right, well that will do it. We will see you tomorrow. Gary Ayd Show 10 to noon. Go out and vote. Remember, gas prices are high. The economy's a mess. Think about why that is and who did that and vote accordingly. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.